What's up, y'all? This is Nick Dick back with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and today I kind of want to talk about a topic that really got under my skin today. So, hear me out for a little bit, all right? Okay, so this new fusion coming out. Is he in the game yet? I believe he is. He's not. Okay, so we can't look at him. But anyways, the new champion-ish, whatever. He's not good. He doesn't hit hard, and he's not, a great champion. So, I'm just gonna kind of, give you my views on the community and CCs and how they are portraying the champion. So first of all, I just want to give a shout out to one of the best CCs, being Scratch, who made a great video. This basically just explains how he's testing champions, how he's comparing champions, and he pretty much goes through all the right ways to do it and all the wrong ways to do it. And I think Scratch is I think Scratch is the best CC. He's the biggest CC with actual knowledge in the game. Obviously, endgame player, knows what he's talking about. So, shout out to Scratch for, always giving you the best, the actual, realistic views of a champion. I watched this Fusion showcase, and, this is a great showcase. You can see from this little screenshot here, he's basically, using him against a Magnar, and, he does, similar damage to a Magnar. So that's, the Fusion. That's what we're looking at. Brilliant videos, both of them, and I suggest watching both of these to see how you can accurately judge the fusion for your account. Do I think the champion is good for progression? That's the main question everybody asks. Honestly, it is what it is. It's very average. Like, you can look at these Shadowkin epics. Hatatsu for way less investment might honestly help your faction with just as much. Swyren is probably just as good against a boss, brings a lot of debuff. Oboro can be good. Genbo if you need damage. Like, you don't need this champion. Like, almost anybody. I mean, obviously if you have a couple Legos and Mikage, you can do this faction when the new thing comes out, and you really don't have to worry about it. So this champion is terrible. That's the main point. Let's get that out of the way. Now, my main contention with why I'm so furious about, the coverage of the champion is basically what I'm going to get into now, and that is obviously Hellhades' video that he made. So we can just take a look at the thumbnail, just so you know what I'm talking about. Ishma, I was wrong, the typical I was wrong video. So he does the fusion, says he's not very good, blah blah blah, and then he does the damage test, and he says he's great, and he hits so hard, and he clears waves, blah 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 blah. First off, clearly engage bait, and clearly, propaganda. People weren't too interested in the champion, blah 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 blah. Wait 3 days, post a video. It is what it is. So obviously my main contention basically comes with how he's testing the champion and how he's comparing the champion to, if not the best besides Taris, Narses, like the best conditional HP based nuker in the game that's actually viable. So let's go here. He's explaining the skills, and then basically he shows the builds of the two champions. Now, let's just start off, first of all. So if we look at his build on this champion, 134k HP. Okay, good HP, but, less than 220 speed. So this champion will never be used at 220 speed in almost any content. Where you have this amount of gear, where your gear is at this level, if your gear was this good, you would not build him like this. You would put him in Stone Skin, blah 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 blah. You'd put him in Feral, whatever you're gonna do, but you're always gonna have another 30 to 60 to 70 speed. So just so you can see, my Narses is a 4-star. So he's a 6-star, so he has the extra 15 speed compared to mine. Where's my Narses? My Narses is here. So my Narses is in double reaction, and he's 265 speed at a 4-star. So if it was the same build as his in a 6-star, my Narses would be 280 speed. Now my Narses has 10k less HP, and similar crit damage, whatever. Not the point. I'm not, comparing my gear to Hellhades' gear. That's not the point. Actually, mine has way more crit damage. So my gear is just, way better than this. Anyways, not the point. The point is, why is he this slow? He's this slow because he just wants to show you as much damage as he possibly can. That's, part A. Now, when he does his testing, he's on stage 20 here, but he actually goes to stage 23. If this would load. So he's on stage 23.
New guy. Right then, so here's the test bed for...
Stage 23. Now, why are we showing on stage 23? Because it's void, he claims. This content is, done and beaten. Stage 23 is nobody's doing that. You can, be on Dragon 10 in 2 months into the game if you know what you're doing. So why aren't we testing it on Dragon 10? I don't know. I think Scratch tested on Dragon 10. That's the best place to test it. That's really the only place that matters. Anyways, besides the point. So he's got an aura on his Narses as well. 33% in all battles. So that's, one thing. He's got decreased defense, weaken, and then he's got 2 buffs here. He's got 2 buffs here. And he's got, Gurptuk. So he's using Heaven Cast. This is at 6 stars. So let's just take a look at what a 6-star Heaven Cast does before, we get into everything here. So at 6 stars, Heaven Cast is going to do... It is going to do... I'm sorry. 0% damage. It's going to do 2% damage per buff. 2%. That is on the every skill, 2% damage buff. Now that's plus, all the damage percent that he's getting from, skills that do damage, right? So you get 20% here, blah, 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 blah. So if I'm just looking at Narses, Narses is getting 20% damage on each skill, plus an additional for 2% per each buff. All right, so let's remember that when he does this test here.
Or the team, we're on stage 23, which is a stage for Dragon, just so we can try and keep it as even as possible. So we're trying to set it up here.
Okay, so now we have a bolster shield. That's 1 buff. 2 of these buffs.
It's poison on the enemy, poison on us, drop defense and
weak.
He
has 5 buffs. That's 10% extra damage. Plus, we don't know what his Lydia's wearing. We don't know what his Feral, what his Gurptuk's, these 2 champions are wearing. What we can predict, or based on, what would make sense, is I would guess the Lydia's in bolster. If she's in Feral, he's doing more damage. If she's in protection, he's doing more damage. We don't know. He didn't show us. So, that is how much damage? What is it? 5% per each buff or debuff for Feral or protection? That we don't even know what's being shown. So he's already got plus 10 here, and he could be more for protection. Oh, well, actually, Lydia is in protection. We know that from the buffs being protected. So someone's wearing bolster. Who knows who's wearing bolster? Maybe the Gurptuk or the Bad Owl.
On the enemy. Anyways. And then the A2 for Narses here. In fairness, Narses does a double hit if there was shield out there, and obviously against these waves it won't be.
But this with in fairness. Now, that's not. It's just not giving you a visualization of what Narses actually does. The only time you're going to use Narses is versus strengthened or shield champions. In arena, at the end game. I mean, even if you're not using him against those champions, Narses is still very capable and still hits harder than most champions. And his skill kit is viable. All right.
This will give us an idea.
So what we're looking at, 200,000, 250,000. We don't know about the Helm Smashers. We don't know about anything else. Now, this Narses, let's just say best case scenario, this 248k. Let's just say this hit Helm Smasher. That ignored 50% defense. Now, the other champion is going to be ignoring 100% defense, or 50% plus the Cat's Gaze. So another 12%, whatever. So the other champion is going to be ignoring another 50% because of his passives. His active effect on one of the skills. It does I think it does a 50% ignore if it has so many debuffs. So not only are you equating them, but you're comparing skills that are nowhere near comparing, because one ignoring defense is going to obviously do more. It's like comparing Royal Huntsman, who has a 100% ignore defense on his single target skill, comparing that to a Cold Heart. It's totally different realms of comparing, and just putting them in these 2 tests, it's really just just a terrible way to do it, honestly. And he's just pointing, this is just I'm Hellhades maximum damage, which it's great, it gets clicks, but at the end of the video he's going to tell you that this champion is good because it clears waves. No, it's not. Any champion can clear waves. I can clear waves with any champion. Not to mention, you're using an unreasonable comp, which makes no sense. But that's besides.
So like a 240, 250k hits with no shield. So if there's a shield out there, he goes the same relic, which I put the cat's gaze on Narses just so that he's got something which helps him swing. Booked him out. We're going to...
Now, same blessing, 6-star having cast, so he's going to be ignoring 2% for each buff.
Deal Narses' gear, and we've gone full damage masteries, like Helm Smasher, any of the masteries where we get a bigger first hit. Okay, we've got Savage gear on, we've got Helm Smasher.
First hit mastery, nobody uses that, but that's an extra 8% damage. Nobody uses that mastery. It's almost never, viable for any, situation. Definitely not Hydra. You're definitely not going to really use it in arena most cases. Some champions might use it, but most don't.
Smasher on, we've got the cat's gaze. We're already ignoring defense with that A3 anyway. We should be doing pretty close to true damage.
We're already ignoring defense with the A3. So yes, we know that. So obviously a champion ignoring 100% defense is going to do more than any champion ignoring 50% defense. It's really just lazy.
Damage here when we hit.
Get ready for raid, maximum damage.
Okay, this wouldn't be a test without the bandana on, so we're going full on damage.
Not to mention he has cruelty on a couple of these
mode. Let's get this rocking. Let's start off by testing his A2. Now, this is an irresistible set of debuffs, firstly, because of the amount of debuffs we've got on the enemy.
Okay, so
But yeah, 3 debuffs going out there, plus a smack.
So, this hit did, let's just see the biggest one, 429. I would assume this ignored 100% defense, and it did 250k Narses was doing. This one did about 430. So if Narses hit twice, it still does more damage. We understand that. And obviously this champion's ignoring defense.
Oh, it's actually big. 400k hits.
So
400k hits plus those debuffs. Damn, that's actually really high damage. That's similar to, it's a bit less than Narses if Narses is doing his double hits. But that's really high damage, actually. Damn, that's way more than I was expecting. Okay, that's a decent smack right there.
And now he does
decent smack, right. Let's see what this A3 is like.
Okay, A3. Now this skill, a single target skill, he's going to add another... Okay, so this buff doesn't count as an extra buff because it's after the hit, but this skill is going to ignore 50% damage. So this is going to be true damage, right? Now, let's just think for a second. Would this be good in Hydra? A single target, 100% ignore skill, maybe. But, besides, damage, he doesn't do anything else for Hydra, so you would never use this guy in Hydra. Now, when would you need a single target skill to do this much damage? Basically nowhere. Definitely not arena. You're definitely not going to have 2 debuffs on somebody. You can't reliably use them in arena. It's a skill that, obviously, what most SCCs that aren't lying to you, they're telling you this skill is not good, and that's clear. Anyway,
as he gets his fiery balls out there. Swings it around for a 600k hit. Ooh, it actually hits really bloody hard. Okay, okay, maybe this fusion isn't quite as easy a skip as we thought originally.
Isn't quite as easy a skip as we thought originally. Why? Based on what? When are you going to use him? To clear waves? He's just doing nothing for your team. Like, there would be no account where this champion would be the best option for you in any team ever. And that's just the blatant truth. You would never use him in a Hydra team. You'd never use him in Chimera. You would never use him in a wave clear over... You wouldn't use him over Seer. You wouldn't use him over Thor. Thor does more damage. You can't buff his damage with attack or defense. He's an HP-based champion. There is no place you would ever use this champion. He's 1 AoE. He's 1 single target kill.
That is some smacking going on there. And then let's try this A1. Double hit. Each hit transfers debuffs if they're on him. And that is some damage right there. That is some bloody damage. Double hit here, 400k.
Damage, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, the trouble is, that is some damage he's doing. That is absolutely crazy damage that he's doing there. I mean, he's in some of my best gear, right? So, of course...
So, let's just be honest. I mean, the gear is not, out of this world. I mean, like I said, like I showed you before. Like, if I had a 6-star champion, he'd have 80 more speed and more crit damage, with the same build, right? So, where are we at with this? Let's just finish the video so I can, in arena, he does nothing.
So let's try here. I still know he is strong because you get your block damage ability. I think A3 here for different 3. He's just over half health, I think, so.
It wasn't great. Anyways, let's listen to his final thoughts and then we'll judge him based off this.
Bam. Yeah, look, he is a wave-based dude, okay? I think if we're starting to talk about, hard faction wars come in, do you need someone in that Shadowkin team that's going to punch some damage through waves of enemies in faction wars? Do you need someone who's going to be in like one of your arena teams? I think he can do it. Is he just going to smack through waves of enemies? Yeah, I kind of think he is. But he doesn't bring that next layer of all of these cool debuffs for bosses and stuff. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. He's definitely better than I thought he was going to be in terms of pure smack value. But I don't know that he gets out of the vault for people that have got a massively wide roster. He's definitely a contender though. Way better than I thought he was going to be. Anyway, there you go, guys. I've been Hellhades.
So if you are a new player watching this video thinking you should go for the fusion, and you need somebody to smack waves, you don't have Thor, you don't have Seer, you don't have this or that. Like, should you build this champion over Kale? The answer is no. There's 50 epics that'll be tons less investment that you would build before him. I would build I would build Kellen over him. I would build Dithey over him just because of the books I would need. You're not gonna have a 6-star blessing. You're not gonna have all the stats. You're not gonna build him at 215 speed with those kind of crit damage. It's just not gonna happen. You're not gonna have a cat's gaze to put on him, which is another whatever percent ignore defense it is. Like, these are all things you have to consider when you're doing a fusion. Like, how many champions are better than him? So many. And like I said earlier, you're never going to fit him into this team. And it just really bothers me because we have good content put out by good creators like Scratch, who did a great showcase that basically show you he's useless. And you don't want to say he's good for progression because, the second you get a champion that's even slightly does damage, you're going to do better than him. Any attack-based champion with the same level blessing and books is going to be better than him. And that's my point. My point is, please watch this video. If you were influenced by the Hellhades video, go and watch this video Scratch made. It was perfect. It would literally, it went in depth about everything I'm talking about and everything, Hellhades did in that video. And it basically tells you, like, look, like, that's not how you judge a champion. You judge a champion based off, reasonably what he's going to be doing for you in your account. And if you're, new to the game, you're not going to waste, 10 Lego books, a 5-star blessing. If you get him in the, the hero event, that's, 30 sacreds worth of shards to get him in his blessing. And then you got to book him. There's just no way to justify this champion. And, people will go out there and tell you to do it because it's contrarian. And it's really ridiculous. And just to end this, I did a 30-minute rant and I made a video about this about a year ago. But this is another thing that happened. Ash, Rage, Shadow Legends, Angar. So, Ash made a video on Angar. And I don't want to get into it, but this was right after the Angar buff. And he basically fought a bunch of players in Classic Arena. So we have no idea what their defense is. Obviously, this is a brand new account with all free champions. And he's hitting with Angar. And let's just listen to what he says at the end to see how he summarizes Angar.
Damage. Angar put out a pretty dang impressive 23 million almost damage. That's what? 10 million.
23k damage. I mean, Cupid is doing 3 times as much. This is a +3 Angar.
9 million less than Venus, and Venus is a great debuffer and damage dealer with her poisons and her burn, of course, 2 AoEs. So I'm pretty impressed overall. I'm actually really impressed overall. I'm sure you can tell from the video. Great buff. He went from 0 to hero as it pertains to Hydra, Magma Dragon, or anywhere in the game that you need a provoker. So Angar, success. 1 down, I guess 2 down if you include Fortis. About, I don't know, about 20 to go. Legendaries. 30? 40? I don't know how many legendaries you guys think need a buff. Maybe that's another video for another day. But let me know what you think of the new and improved Angar, guys, and which champion would you like.
Anyways, I rant about this. I never ended up posting the video, but it's just complete propaganda. Like, he didn't even test the damage in Dragon in this video. You can go and watch this video as well. He talks about the buff and how great it is and blah, 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 blah. And he talks about how he's one of the best provokers, blah, blah, blah. And he shows the stats. Now,
31, 80k just shy on the HP.
No, these stats are terrible. This is a year ago, so let's put that into perspective as well. But he's +3 with 80k, 23. 231 crit damage, and then he's bragging about it in Classic Arena. Like, he doesn't even do a damage test in Dragon. Like, at least Hades did the damage test in Dragon. I can respect that a little bit. But just be careful when you're looking on YouTube for content creator videos, because most of the time they're BS. Please go out of your way, find a creator like Scratch, find a creator like Cruisin, who's going to do actual damage tests, who's going to actually tell you the truth about champions. I haven't watched this, but I can almost guarantee it's it's a good video. He's probably fighting high-end players in the test server, and this is an actual guide. I don't know if he does the actual damage test. Anyway, that's if you want to know factual information, go to the right source, and you use your own knowledge. Finally, just to be clear, Narses has a 2.8 multiplier on his A3, and this does go to it's a double hit. So we can actually see, logistically, how much more damage he will do. Unfortunately, ironically, we don't have this yet. He's not in the game, so technically they can't data mine the multipliers for this dude, Ishiyama. But once we see the actual multipliers, we could tell. And this A3 that ignores all the damage, it'll clearly have a lower multiplier, but it'll ignore the defense, so that's why it's doing so much damage. But anyways, this champion is not good. If you don't want to get the champion, don't get the champion. I would say the only reason to get this champion is probably if you're a collector or you want Faction Guardians for Shadowken. Honestly, that's my opinion. But just be careful where you're getting your information. And definitely watch that Scratch video because that was a brilliant video. And if you have anything to say in the comments, you disagree, agree, let me know. If you think Ishiyama is the best champion in the game, let me know. Please leave a comment if you've experienced this in the past where you've watched a video and you're like, wow, he's awesome, and then you build him and he's terrible. I've done that in the past multiple times, and it's very frustrating. So I understand, the community sentiment in that case. All right, Nick Thick out, and hopefully I'll be posting some more videos here, some live arena videos. I have been spamming live arena if you are interested in my content. I pretty much just play at the gym, so when I'm on the treadmill, I just play, and I've been doing pretty good, 67% in the season, 187, pushing it decently hard. Got up to top 1,000 in my overall rankings, almost 10k points here, 57% win percentage overall. I actually beat Crypto the other day. I have a screenshot of that. That was pretty fun. I beat him, so that was cool. Anyways, if you want some more videos from me, please let me know in the comments. And if you like this video, let me know as well. And I'll see you soon.